Hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining us again on this Sunday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, no hazardous weather graphics or nothing on them, meaning there's no watches, warnings, or advisories around the state, but there is a flood advisory here along the Porcupine River, still in effect. In fact, it's stays out through tonight, tomorrow, and is due to expire sometime on the 21st of May. And so there'll be some minor flooding here. Levels are above flood stage. There'll be some minor flooding along the Porcupine River and possibly some higher water levels as that water moves down in toward Fort Yukon there. Otherwise, breakup just really slowly dissolving away with not much action at all. Yukon's open, of course, Kuskokwim's open, and even the Porcupine here obviously is open as the flood advisory on it, and that's due to snow melt, not any ice jamming at all. And we're seeing opening up here along the Koyukuk as well as the Kobuk and Noatak rivers, and actually even up here, let's see, that's the Sagwan, has a little bit of open area on it, and then this western one here is not the Colville, I forget the name of it. Anyway, it's showing some breakup up there even on the north slope. And from there, moving on to fire danger, no change really up in the northeast interior here, just south of the Yukon River, and then northward to the southern slopes of the Eastern Brooks Range, still that area of high fire danger. And kind of spotty here, actually this area in the Copper River Basin, actually narrower and kind of hugging inside the valley over there. And then a little bit there on the north side of the Alaska Range, but not too bad. A more extensive area though, extending here from roughly, say, Nenana, and then wrapping back down around the Alaska Range, all the way down in toward Iliamna Lake, which is kind of a boost from yesterday, and also in the Susitna Valley showing some high fire danger potential there as well. And from this, we'll move on to the satellite loop, and we've got moisture continuing to stream northwestward here. One surge coming across the south part of the state today, bringing some areas of rain and showers, mostly along the coast. Next surge coming up along the southeast coast there. They had really light amounts with this, nothing too significant at all. I think 600s fell at Sitka, and that was one of the heavier amounts I saw. Otherwise, it was sunnier and warmer down to the south, and actually not too bad up toward Haines. Otherwise, you can see a lot of clouds here in the interior, also some sunshine mixed in, allowing temperatures to rise into the 70s up over the upper Yukon Valley there, and just some isolated showers with the clouds here over the southern Alaska Range down to the Alaska Peninsula and out to the west. Not a whole lot going on. I got a weak disturbance here near the Pribilofs, and then out west, the next front pushing in. Again, weak front pushing in, not much in the way of wind with it at all, really non-factor, both wind and precipitation wise, but it's finally something showing up out there after several days. Then we've got some clouds up on the north slope and Arctic coast, but generally dry conditions, some patchy areas of fog, depending on where you are there, all the way down in toward Tin City. Had the lowest visibilities today down, I think, a half mile at times, and then into Savunga a little bit, and some showery conditions around the Pribilofs, and otherwise the Bering Sea pretty well clouded over with areas of low clouds, fog, and possibly drizzle. On the chart today, just some showers up here over the Kobuk Valley and a little to the south. Otherwise, see areas of sunshine breaking out, Seward Peninsula and along the Yukon Delta with showers, possible thunderstorm developing here maybe later, but there were thunderstorms developing here over the 40-mile country eastern Tanana Valley, actually sliding northwestward there toward Delta Junction. So I'd put it kind of in the North Waitok area, but only a few lightning strikes, nothing really widespread at all. And this trough along the North Gulf Coast here, that brought about 4/10 of an inch of rain today to Cordova, as well as, let's see, Cordova and Whittier both had about 4/10 of an inch. Portage Glacier just under an inch. And Alyeska also had about 4/10 of an inch. The Mount Alyeska obs there. So that coming down these into Turnagain Arm, but nothing much in the way getting past the Chugach Mountains or into northern Cook Inlet other than maybe something really isolated and light. Kodiak, rainy day, 3/500ths of an inch falling today. And here's this very weak system coming into the Pribilof. So drop off across the Fox Islands here tonight. As you can see, actually kind of dissipates and it becomes mixed in with this warm front, which is pretty weak there as it moves in. Just not looking for a whole lot with this, just the usual warm front weather of light rain or drizzle, fog, low clouds, IFR flying. And that's going to extend back into a little more general area of rain along the main frontal boundary there, way back west of Adak. Otherwise, a couple of lows here keep it unsettled, occasionally damp for Kodiak, isolated showers up across the deltas. Interior, not too bad, clearing those whatever showers, thunderstorms develop, they'll be slowly dying off, but kind of lingering through the night in some areas. And North Gulf Coast, precipitation a little more intermittent, lighter, more showery in nature, trying to shut off, but just can't. And the southern southeast coast still holds on to a risk of a shower, but not too bad in the north with some low clouds and fog hanging off the coastline. Definitely low clouds and fog back in over the north slope and the Arctic coast, down through the Bering Strait and the northern Bering Sea. And the outlook for tomorrow, again, anywhere along this trough axis here from that thermal low eastern interior could be some isolated thunderstorms being triggered by some fairly warm afternoon temperatures, anywhere from the mid to upper 70s tomorrow through the eastern interior. And not so warm back to the southwest. In fact, the coastal areas be trying to push 40. Scattered showers, but not as many, and some clearing periods, probably more for south central Alaska here. Cook Inlet managed to sit in the valley, looks pretty good over the Copper River Basin. Some shower threat clings to the southern southeast coast, otherwise not too bad, partly sunny over the Panhandle with mild temperatures. More and light rain, fog, and drizzle. This weak system pushes into the again, around the Fox Islands, really not moving too fast there, kind of hanging up over the central Aleutians. High pressure to the north, northeast flow coming offshore, so that should clear it out again over the southern Seward Peninsula and the Norton Sound, maybe clearing out in the afternoon after the morning, low clouds and fog on the north slope there, and then back to the northwest, Kobuk Valley on out to Selawik, Kotzebue, even Kivalina. Could see some sunshine tomorrow, and then again, developing thunderstorms in the afternoon, eastern interior possible. And then the outlook for Tuesday, sunny and warmer. Looks like highs will be anywhere from the mid to 70s to lower 80s there in the eastern interior. And then cooler back, especially behind this trough axis. It'll be still dry with some sunshine. Not too bad here with light winds. A trough will make for a pretty showery day across the southeast coast there from Dixon entrance right up into the Wrangell Mountains. Otherwise, nothing too serious out in the Bering Sea, just a weak trough with low clouds, fog, drizzle, and IFR. Lows for tonight over the southeast coast, mid-40s to lower 50s, 40-45 Copper River Basin, mid-40s generally in the interior to mid-30s there along the coast, and still below freezing here in the Bering Strait up to about Point Hope, and upper 20s for the Arctic coast. Highs tomorrow, 75 to 80 over toward the eastern interior into the lower 70s around Tanana, west of Fairbanks, and then 60s, fall down to near 60 along the southwest coast, and 55 to 63 so sit in the valley in the 60s to maybe lower 70s, especially over the northern panhandle. Lows the following morning, not much different, a little milder up here now, just barely getting on 50 at Fort Yukon, otherwise 40s over the interior, upper 20s Arctic coast, lower 30s northern Bering Sea, near 40 for the Aleutians, followed by highs, again warmer here over the eastern interior, 75 to maybe 85 with warmest temperatures there from Eagle and up into the upper Yukon Valley, where today like Chuck Yitzhak had 74 degrees today, and so that pattern is going to continue, if not continue to warm, and up to the mid-60s for Talkeetna and Trapper Creek, lower 70s northern Panhandle with near 60 reported or should occur out along the coast.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Flying weather tomorrow morning, showing a pretty good area of VFR here from St. Matthew Island into the southwest coast and then up through the central interior. And a zone of IFR up there along the North Slope Arctic coast, coming back around and southward to St. Lawrence Island, some IFR out here with that system pushing into the western Aleutians and the Bering Sea there, and just a patch of some IFR here. Fognak Island, maybe down to the Chiniak-Marmot Bay areas. Otherwise, marginal VFR up into the North Gulf Coast and a ways inland here, covering all of Cook Inlet. Probably won't get into the Matanuska Valley or Susitna Valley, but definitely will be up along the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range. And for Monday afternoon, stays VFR here for the most part. Well, it does stay VFR across the Panhandle, although you see some building lowering conditions there off the south coast, but marginal VFR up to the northwest into the Kuskokwim Valley, and VFR here over the eastern interior and the afternoon heating, triggering a few isolated thunderstorms up on the north slope. East and central side will see the IFR, and then lots of IFR out over the Bering Sea and at least part of the Aleutians. For Tuesday morning, still quite an area of IFR here in the Bering Sea that extends all along the southwest coast and up the river valleys there to a certain extent. Bristol Bay, marginal for the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. Staying VFR here, central eastern interior, Copper River Basin, Matanuska, Susitna Valley northward. South, though, marginal VFR. And some IFR hanging right off the coast of the Panhandle. It's actually covering most of Prince of Wales Island over towards Stewart and Hyder. And then for the afternoon, the IFR leaves. You're left with marginal VFR for the southeast coast, and better here along the North Gulf Coast, and marginal right along the coastline. VFR, Cook Inlet, Kodiak Island, much of the interior. IFR, eastern Arctic coast, and that zone of IFR persisting here through the Bering Strait, and over the west central Bering down to the western Aleutians, otherwise marginal for the southeast Bering Sea and Alaska Peninsula. Passes for tomorrow and the Tuvik and both Adigan will stay in the VFR category. There'll be clouds and overcast skies, but I think the ceilings will stay above that threshold, I believe 5,000 feet. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, not the same story there. Marginal VFR throughout the day, especially on the eastern entrances. And for Rainy, VFR, eastern entrance, so probably will see some marginal VFR conditions at some point in the day tomorrow. And windy will be VFR out of the zone of moisture there with same forecast for Isabel and Mentasta, another VFR flying day coming up for all three of those passes. And Tanita, VFR as well, and Chilkoot, or Portage, starting out IFR and then trending better throughout the day, possibly becoming VFR late in the afternoon or into the early evening. And for Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels, again, pretty good upper level ridging here over western Canada. So we've got 8,000 feet through this area, coming back down to about 4,000 feet in the Gulf, and 4,000 to 6,000 feet over the western interior. And the Bering Sea mostly, well, narrower zone here, 2,000 feet, with some warmer air pushing up into the western Aleutians with that next system on that southwest flow. And for the icing, above about 8,000 feet, look for some light rime icing, very isolated, moderate possible in here. To a lesser extent, this with a warm front, really limited on the moisture with that, better chance back here to the west. None over the interior, and maybe some light to isolated mixed icing here for the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, maybe the Kenai Peninsula, some of that sliding down into the Kamishak Bay area. Otherwise, some scattered thunderstorms shouldn't be much of a problem icing-wise over the interior. And taking a look at tomorrow's jet stream, again, well to the south, kind of a parade of systems sliding eastward here right into the west coast, Northern California area. And so the main jet is well to the south here, but it kind of splits off one branch here, big ridge of high pressure over western Canada. And we've got a flow coming up around that right off the southeast coast, 60 to 80 knots, and it weakens considerably over the eastern interior areas. General trough out here over the Bering Sea. And for 9,000 feet, up to 25 knots, 20 to 25 here over the eastern interior, southeast about 20, southwest interior 25 for the central eastern Aleutian areas. About the same flow at 3,000 feet, really light for the Panhandle, North Gulf Coast and southern Alaska. 25 knots here for the eastern Aleutians translates into some possible moderate chop there for the east central Aleutians and up over the northeast coast.
Hello, I'm a Gozar series weather satellite orbiting 22,000 miles above Earth. I can see a lot of cool stuff from up here, and I take pictures of it with my spiffy camera that has 16 different settings. I have such good eyesight, I can see clouds, snow, smoke, smog, and ash, so I can warn you about dangerous conditions and help you avoid them. When storms are brewing, I watch them closely and help with hurricane, tornado, and flood warnings to help keep you safe. And my lightning mapper tracks lightning strikes way up in the sky, even through dark, dense clouds. I also help with search and rescue missions. I listen for distress signals from emergency beacons and tell search and rescue teams just where to find people who need help. But even when I'm keeping a close eye on Earth, I'm monitoring weather out here in space, too. I watch the sun for big bursts of energy, which send waves of radiation toward Earth that can affect power grids, block communication with planes, cause errors in GPS, and damage satellites. Space weather is also very dangerous for astronauts working outside the International Space Station. I warn them so they can get inside where they'll be safe. So the next time you watch a weather report or check your phone for the forecast, remember, that's me. So look to the sky and wave. I'll be here. Whoa! Things are looking pretty bad down there. But don't worry. I'm going to give weather forecasters a heads up and help you stay safe. I'm a Gozar series weather satellite, and one of my jobs is to keep an eye on Earth's weather as I orbit above. But I'm 22,000 miles above Earth. How does your local weather forecaster know what I see all the way up here? First, I have to figure out what's going on. I point my special camera at the Earth and take pictures of the clouds I see below. My pictures show where the clouds are, but I also take lots of other notes about the clouds. For example, how high they reach into the atmosphere, how much rain they might cause, and when a severe storm may be forming. But I can't keep all of this information to myself. I have to share it with weather forecasters down on Earth. A big antenna is waiting for my call. Since I'm a satellite, I send my pictures and notes in a computer language of ones and zeros. Luckily, the antenna speaks my language. Computers connected to the antenna organize my notes and combine all of the pictures and cloud information and translate them into weather maps. They send a version of the maps back up to me. I'll hold on to these for later. Another copy of the maps is split into smaller pieces. This helps the maps move faster from one place to another. The map pieces are then sent for processing before being sent back up in the sky to a communication satellite. From there, the maps are picked up by antennas at the National Weather Service forecast offices in each region. There are more than 100 offices. I also take the maps that I received and send them out to companies that specialize in making the maps more colorful and better for viewing on TVs and computers. The colorful maps and the maps from the forecast offices then go to your local weather forecaster. The forecaster combines the information from these maps with lots of other information, like model forecast data and radar data, to make predictions about the upcoming weather in your area. And that's how I help you find out if bad weather is going to ruin your afternoon plans. You're welcome. Soon it will be my time to shine in outer space. I'm the Gozar satellite. That stands for Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite. And the R stands for my order in this series of weather satellites. Like my older siblings before me, I'll do a lot for watching weather, but I'm pretty special because I have a lot of new gadgets. I'm originally from Colorado, but my journey to space has a few stops along the way. I'll be shipped in a very special satellite shipping container to Kennedy Space Center. Moving me around is not easy. I'm over 18 feet wide and weigh 6,000 pounds. And then things get really exciting. I get loaded onto an Atlas V541 launch vehicle. A big rocket! Woo! After Atlas and I blast off together, my compartment separates from the launch vehicle and I continue to climb higher and higher. Then I break away completely and unfurl my solar panel and antenna. After that, I have to use my thrusters to get into just the right position, 22,000 miles above the ground and traveling 1.9 miles per second to keep up with Earth's rotation. And then I can officially start my job along with my fellow Goz sisters, where I take advanced pictures for more accurate weather forecasts, map lightning in real time, and improve the monitoring of the sun's activity. It's going to be so awesome! I can't wait!
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis here showing a lot more open water now coming through the Bering Strait. Just a little bit of ice left there north side of St. Lawrence Island, and that's about it for anything south of the Bering Strait except over in toward that bay over there and breaking up here in toward Kotzebue Sound, and this open area starting to penetrate up to the northeast a little bit. And for coastal water forecasts, north to northwest, 15 to 20 knots on the south coast. Small craft advisories here on the north coast. North winds up to 25 knots. And Lynn Canal tomorrow, northwest at 15, 3-foot seas. North at 10 for Stevens Passage. Become northwest for Clarence Strait. And then on Tuesday, light variable winds, 10 knots here from the northern inside waters. Otherwise central and southern areas, northwest at 10. Small craft advisories here all along the panhandle, or the outer coastline here, for 25-knot winds with 8 to 9-foot seas. And for Prince William Sound, east winds 20 knots, 2-foot seas, south 15 for the eastern North Gulf Coast, becomes southeast at 15. As you get down back across the Barren Islands there, east 15 for Kachemak Bay, variable at 10 for Cook Inlet tomorrow with 2-foot seas. And that may become a little more southerly in direction, but it's not going to increase any. Still looking at 10 knots and slight seas for the inlet. Same thing for Kachemak Bay, Kamishak Bay, and probably have 10 knots in Kachemak Bay as well. 15 out of the southwest for the Barrens, turn east or west at 20, and then small craft advisories now for the eastern North Gulf Coast here and west at 10 still for Prince William Sound. Kodiak Island, east side, south 15, and Shelikof Strait northeast 15. Back to southwest at 15. I call this whole area variable at 15. And light easterlies there for king salmon with just about no seas. And 15 out of the west, 15 to 20 for the Alaska Peninsula. And then for Tuesday, we've got east-southeast winds, 15 knots here for the peninsula. Light westerlies there for Bristol Bay and the area southwest of Sitkinak. Variable 10 for Kodiak. Fox Islands tomorrow, southwest 20 knots, seas 5 to 6 feet. And Central Aleutians bring some small craft advisories in with that system coming across. 30 knots there south of Adak and Atka, and then 25 knots for the western zones. Then for Tuesday, 30-knot northerlies out there, Shimmy and Attu, maybe Kiska, fall back to about 25, and then southeast 20 to 25 here for specifically Atka Island, a little more variable in the direction for Adak, and then southeasterlies 20 to 25, fall back to 15 knots for Unalaska Island. And for the southwest coast, Tomorrow, south of Nunivak Island, southwest 15, north side there, along the Yukon Delta coast, northeast 25, and that extends all the way out to St. Matthew Island and St. Lawrence Island, northeast 25, so small craft advisories there as well. And then for Tuesday, light winds in Norton Sound, north 20 for St. Lawrence Island, south 15 here for the southwest coast, and same thing for the Pribilofs. And over here, St. Matthew Island, northeast of 20. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast, still got a brisk wind advisory going there tomorrow. Otherwise, east of Kaktovik, Barter Island, drops back down to 15 knots. Northeast 15 on the central coast, increases a little here from Point Lay on down to Cape Thompson, out of the northeast at 20, northerlies at 20 to Wales. And for the Tuesday outlook, really no change Wales to Cape Thompson, or to Cape Beaufort. 20 knots out of the north with seas 4 feet, 15 knot northeasterlies turn easterly at 10 here for the central and part of the east side, but still at 20 knots toward demarcation point. For tonight, not too bad in the interior. Whatever shower storm will dissipate, but kind of hang on here, take a little longer to end, and they probably won't end completely, but the rainfall amounts will become lighter here for the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound. Still some showers into eastern Turnagain Arm. Otherwise, pretty dry there for the southeast coast, Kodiak and the Alaska Peninsula, Kamishek Bay. Kind of unsettled and cloudy with this low in the showers and that continued southeast feed of moisture. Otherwise, the Bering Sea watching a weak system track eastward with some rain, low clouds, fog, and drizzle. And IFR flying conditions. That will shift eastward tomorrow. The warm front pushing some moisture in toward mainly the Fox Islands there. It'll be kind of a break as you get over toward False Pass. Thunderstorm chances slight along that trough in the afternoon with highs in the mid-70s over the eastern interior. Next day, 75 to 85 here for the eastern interior. Sunshine, cooler and showery to the northwest, and the Panhandle looks like a showery day.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.